You ever have one of those days where your HOA president gets hauled off in handcuffs, covered in chocolate chip cookies and lemon bars, screaming about sovereign HOA immunity while half the neighborhood films it for TikTok? Yeah, that happened. If you'd told me 3 weeks earlier that my summer would end with Dolores Crimp, yes, the Dolores in tactical khakis and a rhinestone K9 unit leash trying to pat down my 16-year-old niece at a charity bake sale, I would have laughed. Now let me back up a sec. I'm Wesley Gant, 42, software engineer, widower, king of the world's most average beige house at the far end of Maple Court in Meadow Ridge. Honestly, I'm not built for drama. I'm the guy who brings homegrown tomatoes to neighbors I trust, keeps my lawn 2 millimeters under regulation just to avoid letters, and would rather spend a Friday night debugging code than chatting at the clubhouse. But when my niece Maddie rolled in for the summer, escaping her parents' divorce and some guy named Chad or Brad or who even cares, I figured maybe, just maybe, I'd get to be the fun uncle for once. Maybe I'd even learn how to loosen up. Turns out in Meadow Ridge, loosening up means preparing for suburban warfare. See, Meadow Ridge isn't just any subdivision. It's a kingdom ruled by Dolores Crimp, our HOA president, former mall cop, current moral police, and I swear the only person in history to own a tactical vest with HOA spelled out in rhinestones. Dolores is 58'5'6" in flats, but usually 3 inches taller. Thanks to her platform shoes, she says it helps her patrol posture with gray hair yanked into a bun so tight it looks like she's trying to lift her own face. She lives in the biggest colonial directly across from the clubhouse, so she can monitor all comings and goings, usually through one of her 5 sets of binoculars. Her husband bailed years ago. Since then, she's poured every ounce of leftover affection into HOA bylaws and surveillance gear. If you're wondering how she got elected, the answer is simple: apathy. 8 years ago, she ran unopposed after Frank Chen moved to Florida, and the only other candidate was a write-in for Mickey Mouse. Dolores got 11 votes out of 12. She spent months investigating Mickey Mouse for voter fraud, by the way. After that, Meadow Ridge turned into Dolores's personal North Korea. She installed security cameras at every entrance, created a neighborhood watch committee of 3 terrified retirees, and started carrying a color wheel, a measuring tape, and a decibel meter to enforce the gospel of order. She once fined the Johnsons for their baby's aggressive crying during nap time. Yeah, that's our Dolores. So when Maddie arrived, sweet kid plays, violin rescues, shelter dogs, smiles like she means it. I should have known she'd triggered Dolores's internal threat detector. Before Maddie's suitcase even hit the guest room, Dolores was already peering at us through the blinds, clipboard in hand, looking like a constipated hawk. 10 minutes later, knock, 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 like the FBI was serving a warrant. "Wesley," she said, every syllable dipped in fake sugar. "I couldn't help but notice you have a young guest. Is she registered?" "Registered?" "She's my niece, Dolores, 16, visiting for the summer." Dolores's eyes sparkled like she'd just discovered contraband. "A minor, unaccompanied. That's highly irregular." She scribbled on her clipboard pen, tapping like a woodpecker with OCD. "For community safety, you'll need to complete Form 12B vetting for long-term underage guests." Folks, Form 12B doesn't exist anywhere in the actual HOA rules. It was 12 pages of pure Dolores wanted Maddie's social security number, a list of known associates, 3 non-family character references, church attendance history, a morality pledge, and a promise not to eat Tide Pods. Page 7 specifically asked for references who were neither felons nor known liberals. Page 11 required a blue ink signature witnessed by a notary or, I swear, respected neighbor. Maddie just laughed. "Is she for real?" "Unfortunately, yeah," I sighed, recycling the form as soon as Dolores shut her door. But Dolores wasn't done. Within days, the citation started. Violation 14B. Excessive laughter on porch after 9 p.m. Maddie giggling at TikToks is captured by Dolores's grainy red-circled photo. Violation 22C. Unauthorized sidewalk chalk. Maddie's hopscotch grid on our driveway. Not the sidewalk and apparently 6 inches too long. Violation 3D. wearing shorts below mid-thigh, complete with a diagram of acceptable length. There were fines for improper hose coiling inappropriate outdoor reading material. Maddie's fantasy book had a dragon on the cover and excessive bird attraction. Maddie's bird feeder, I guess, was summoning the wrong kind of wildlife. Every day brought a new passive-aggressive note. Maddie started finding them everywhere on her bike. Helmets required the pool gate. Modest swimwear protects property values, even tucked in the windshield of my car. Young drivers endanger the community. Dolores, meanwhile, had started her own security patrol, walking past our house every 45 minutes in a neon vest marked security, even though her only K9 unit was Jinx, a snappy chihuahua who barked at clouds. Things only got weirder. Dolores created a Facebook group, Meadow Ridge Safety Watch, and started posting updates about unauthorized minor at 42 Maple Court. Maddie doing suspicious things like receiving an Amazon package and laughing at the pool. Most neighbors just rolled their eyes. But Dolores doubled down, printing fake cease and desist orders and threatening to ban Maddie from the upcoming charity bake sale for unlicensed food distribution. Maddie, bless her, just wanted to raise money for the animal shelter, baking cookies, making signs, organizing everything like the world's kindest Girl Scout. But the week of the sale, Dolores went full Karen final boss. She made PowerPoints about teenage crime, recruited 2 more committee members, an 80-year-old who thinks all kids are in gangs, and Bob Tucker, who agrees with anyone who talks to him for 5 minutes, and started dropping protocol manuals under people's doors. Then the day of the bake sale hit. It was perfect blue skies, neighbors setting up tables, kids running around the whole street smelling like brownies and barbecue. Maddie had her table out, everything measured to the inch, so we wouldn't even brush HOA property lines. Her signs had photos of shelter dogs she'd already raised $100 by noon, and for one golden hour it felt like summer should hopeful, simple, alive. That's when Dolores showed up in her tactical best, khaki cargo pants, bedazzled vest, latex gloves, clipboard, walkie-talkie, and a face, like she was prepping for a SWAT raid. She marched down the street, making notes, snapping photos, Jinx trotting along in a matching K9 unit vest. When she reached Maddie's table, she demanded, "What is this?" Maddie, trying to be polite, said charity bake sale for the animal shelter. Dolores, loud enough for half the street, shot back. Unverified minor selling unlicensed consumables, potential gang activity. The neighbors stared. I walked over. "Dolores, it's our driveway. Neighborhood event. Go bother someone else." "The minor is not approved," she shrieked. "She could be selling anything. They're chocolate chip cookies." "That's what she wants you to think." Dolores started recording on her phone. I pointed to my doorbell cam. "So am I." And then she pulled out a laminated badge that said Chief Enforcement Officer, HOA Security. It was literally word art from 1997, her face, about a decade younger, glued on with Elmer's. She announced Emergency Safety Protocol, 7 Protective Custody of Consumables, Precautionary Pat Down. She snapped her latex gloves and moved in on Maddie. "Don't touch me," Maddie shouted, backing up. Dolores lunged. Jinx darted underfoot. Dolores tripped, and bam, the cookie table collapsed, cookies and coins and lemon bars exploding everywhere. Jinx started eating a brownie. Dolores tried to grab him. Maddie burst into tears. Half the street whipped out their phones. Dolores, covered in chocolate and puppy chow, waving her taser around like Gandalf, with a cattle prod, yelled, "This is an active enforcement situation. I am authorized to use reasonable force." By now, people were laughing. Some kids were live streaming caption, "Karen versus Cookie Girl fight," and Mr. Chen was narrating the whole thing like a sports announcer. That's when the cops arrived. 2 cars, 4 officers. Dolores, shrieking about her jurisdiction, flashed her badge. Officer Trainer just stared, deadpan. "Ma'am, this is a laminated piece of cardboard." Officer Williams checked the HOA bylaws on his phone. "Article 9 is about garbage pickup, not whatever this is." Dolores, in full meltdown, shouted about secret bylaws and emergency powers, demanded to speak to a neighborhood liaison, and insisted she was the thin, beige line between order and chaos. They led her to the squad car. The local news rolled up. HOA president arrested at charity bake sale. The footage hit the internet by dinner. Dolores went viral: memes, remixes, Twitter threads. My favorite: stop resisting. The Girl Scout cookies. The neighborhood finally came alive. People shared stories how Dolores fined them for bright bikes, aggressive weed, pulling even 2 new American flags. Turns out she'd been cooking the books, forging her dog's paw print for signatures, and billing the HOA for tactical equipment and intelligence software. Really just Spy Kids Pro and a GoPro helicopter. The fallout was glorious. The insurance company dropped us. Her real estate boss fired her by email. The new interim president, a retired judge, ran a full audit, and it was like the city found a secret lair: stacks of made-up fines, color-coded files on teenage girls, evidence of stalking, embezzlement, and a secret troublemaker database for anyone who dared question her. The next HOA meeting was standing room only, half the street cheering as the judge outlined every one of Dolores's crimes: patrol mileage, fraud, phony processing fees, unauthorized fines, the works. The vote to remove her unanimous. The vote to ban her from all future HOA anything, also unanimous. Maddie was made an honorary board member, her crime of cookie selling forever forgiven. The trial came fast. Dolores insisted on representing herself, argued for HOA court jurisdiction, claimed teenagers were the biggest threat to property value since 2008. The jury took 47 minutes, including lunch, to convict her assault on a minor fraud, stalking the works. 3 years in prison, massive fines, lifetime ban from HOA's minors and bake sales. Her final words: "You'll regret this, I am the HOA," echoed off the courtroom walls as the bailiff slammed the door behind her. So now Meadow Ridge feels lighter. Neighbors wave, kids draw chalk on driveways. Maddie's animal shelter raised $50,000, and nobody has to check their mailbox for violation letters written in Comic Sans. And every time I see someone selling lemonade, I grin. Let me ask you, where do you draw the line between community safety and personal freedom? What would you have done if Dolores was your neighbor? Comment below with your wildest HOA story, or just your thoughts on justice, right versus wrong, or how you'd improve neighborhood life. Because honestly, sometimes it just takes one kid, one bake sale, and a neighborhood finally waking up to put an end to a reign of beige terror.